If you clicked on this video, you want to learn how to use the Fangraphs auction calculator to win your fantasy baseball league. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, and I'll get right into it. But before I do, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I've linked the Fangraphs auction calculator in the video description, so check that out if you want to take a look yourself. Simply put, the auction calculator is going to allow you to import your league settings, pick a projection system, and then generate a set of dollar values or ADP rankings for all players based on your specific league settings. In this example, I've picked a Roto league, and I've went with a normal 5x5 in terms of hitting and pitching categories. And I used NFBC roster format with 2 catchers, 5 outfielders, 1 utility, 9 pitchers with a 1,000 inning pitch minimum, and 7 bench players. The next step is to just choose a projection system. The 2 I like to use are called ATC and the BADX. ATC is a composite system, so it uses historical performance to weight different aspects of each projection system differently and uses that to calculate a composite projection. I kind of see this as a wisdom of the crowds approach that tends to be more of a safe or median projection among different systems, and so I like to use this for pitching, as especially in deeper leagues. Usually I'm trying to just get stable pitching and mitigate risk. For hitting, I like to use a projection called the BADX, which incorporates StatCast data to enhance hitter projections. We can see here, we can put in how many teams your league has, what your budget is. If you're in a snake style draft, this doesn't matter. You'll still get dollar values for each player, which you can then just sort highest to lowest for an ADP rank. So that's the basic format of the auction calculator. We can hit generate projections and see that we get our projection values for our specific league settings. I'll now go over a few additional settings that may be helpful to be aware of and tweak for your own league and use case. We can see over here on the top right, there's a position priority ranking. And what this does is for players with multi-positional eligibility, you rank which position you want to use for their positional adjustment. So especially in the 2-catcher league, catchers have the largest positional adjustment. So a player with multi-positional eligibility who's a catcher, you'd get the most value by playing them at catcher. So for that reason, I've put catcher at the top. I then find second base, followed by third base, tend to thin out, then first base, then shortstop, and outfield is really deep. I like to keep that at the bottom. You can adjust starts to qualify at each position on the bottom right. So if your league only requires 10 games started last season for a player to be eligible, you can update that here, and that will then be reflected. If we go over to pitchers and make this a little bit longer, we can see that we tend to get relievers with good ratios pop in this model. For example, Jason Adams of the Padres, Cade Smith of Cleveland. These are not closers, but because they offer such good value and ratios, the projection systems tend to like these more than a league ADP typically would reflect. And so if you want to just deflate their value a little bit, you can do that up here in this box below the starts to qualify at each position section. And you can update that, and then it will deflate reliever value for you. One last thing is if you click this experimental button, players who have missed time projected due to injury, they're kind of getting dinged because this auction calculator treats each player as just playing in your lineup the whole season. However, in reality, if a player's hurt, you'll get replacement value by putting that player on an IL slot or your bench and subbing someone else in. So clicking this experimental button adds in replacement value for players who don't have a full-time playing time projection. One last thing to point out is that typically these projection systems will like hitters more than pitchers. Some of that has to do with hitters being safer and easier to project. Some of that has to do with a lot of pitchers only having values as streamers. And so if you left one of them in the whole year, you wouldn't get that much value. And so if you kind of want to force the system to say, I want 65% hitter, 35% pitcher to give a more balanced allocation of your dollars, you can do that. And then we can see that that will adjust everything slightly as well. The Fangraphs auction calculator is an amazing tool to look at to help you decide which players to take in your draft or to target in a trade. I'm on here all the time, and I think you'll find that it makes you a better fantasy baseball manager. If you enjoyed the video and found it valuable, please like and subscribe and comment down below which players surprised you the most, or if you have any questions on the projection systems or the auction calculator.